really just offers the kids a connection that it's more like a web of history instead of a linear approach where they don't get, at the end of the day, the purpose or the perspective, and this course really offers that, which is amazing.
My hypothesis is I think the temperature will change because the temperature starts at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and if you...
Making it a process where it's student-driven, I think is the best part about it, because it's not me telling you, you have to do this.
One night a month, the parents can come and see the way that their children are approaching the math concepts.
It's really completing the triangle of the team we like to form between parents, kids, and our teachers.
What if I can interject something in between these discipline codes, which could help fix the problem rather than go straight to the code? And so by following that process, you give everybody an opportunity to work themselves out of a situation they find themselves in.
Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Marie Bliston, the host of Classroom Close-Up New Jersey. We're so glad that you could join us today. In education circles, there are lots of issues on which people can agree. Here's one: the importance of family involvement in schools. Maybe the news coverage is sparse when there's no heated debate, but now is the time to shine some light on the valuable role families can play in their child's education. Involvement may simply mean helping with homework or volunteering in the classroom or attending family activities at school. On this episode of Classroom Close-Up, we'll visit a science fair and a family math night. Later, we'll focus on a program designed to end what many refer to as the school-to-prison pipeline. But first, let's begin with a big history project.
It's coming faster. Unchallenged. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Right now, close your eyes. Protein. Open your eyes. What came to mind?
Good afternoon, leaders of elsewhere. We are here to propose and encourage a switch from fossil fuels to renewable energy.
Tell us what complexity you created and how it's used in our everyday lives.
So I am Fluorine Man. And I am Magnesium Girl. So together we make magnesium fluorine.
Michael Gerber's students cover a lot of material. 7th graders are analyzing nutritional intakes to create an ideal school lunch. 8th graders are trying to convince an imaginary town to adopt renewable energy. 6th graders are doing experiments to understand asteroid impacts, and 5th graders are learning how elements combine to create chemical compounds. Sounds like health, government, astronomy, and chemistry, right? Actually, it's history. Big history.
So, we look at history through 13.8 billion years. And big history essentially is a history course, but there's a twist. It's a history course through the lens of science. And what I mean by that is it's multidiscipline, where we approach it with different insights through historical and scientific approaches, where then the students are able to create this one long, beautiful, coherent story where they're able to understand people, civilizations, and how everything around us is connected. Yesterday I had you go back and look at your nutrition, your daily diet. This course was designed by a gentleman named David Christian, who taught it at collegiate level, and Bill Gates happened to stumble upon this course, and he thought to himself, wow, this course is amazing. He approached David Christian to say, hey, could you implement this at a public high school level? And so they tackled it. Look up there, 9 to 13, male to female. Look down. 7th grade, we just finished a project called Feed the World. And in that project, students have to figure out historical trends of different conditions that support the earth, such as population growth, food production, and then they have to figure out at what point can the earth stop supporting us as humans if we continue on this rate. And that's quite mind-blowing. So we talk about, the advent of agriculture, how it was such a turning point in mankind's history, and then we took it to the next step, which we talked about of, okay, agriculture got us to this point. How's it going to look 100 years from now? And that's very personal because it's their lives. Now that you understand your daily consumption, your nutrition, I want you to look back at your ancestors. They had to create a daily diet of themselves and go through the carbohydrates, the proteins, the fats, and what they're going to do is now they're going to analyze with hunter-gatherers as well as early farmers. Look at early foragers. What are they eating?
Lots of This is fruit, root vegetables, grubs,
They're
bugs.
eating a lot
Grubs
of
and
different
bugs.
meats.
Which have more protein than meat.
Fats. A forager, how many grams of fat does a forager have?
34.
They consume about 34 grams. And now what's the trend or pattern?
It's going up.
It is increasing
And
for
mine
sure.
is 102 fats. So ours has increased tremendously.
What's different? What's the same? What stands out to you? And at the end of this, the students are really going to get a bigger perspective of, do I have to change my eating habits? And do others have to change their eating habits? Remember when we started off this unit? I had you guys create or think of the best school lunch ever. You guys like barbecue ribs with pizza. And you made it very, very delicious, which was the prompt. But now, you're going to do this again. This time, you're going to take everything that you've learned, what's delicious as well as what's nutritious. One school lunch for every kid in the nation every day. Will we one day have to revert back? Is that such a horrible thing? Is it a great thing? Will we continue on this rise of complexity? Now, you're going to have to give them more than chicken.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's make this balanced.
So you just have to make it 850 calories.
Oh, wait, we can use the food tracker.
You have to make sure you don't go over the limits.
I'm only getting protein.
I got orange juice.
You have history blending with biology, for example, with the life unit, or chemistry with the element unit. It's a class where it's not, you don't walk in and go, oh, this is science class or this is history class. This is kind of a life. This is a class about learning.
Since it was designed for high schoolers, Gerber's original plan was to teach big history to the 7th and 8th graders in the Gifted and Talented program. However, the idea was so well received, he was asked to expand it to include 5th and 6th grades.
And this course was a way to take not only the content being high school, but the content of all these amazingly deep conceptual thinking approaches and offer this to our 7th and 8th graders. But at the 5th, 6th grade level, we do have to do a lot more modification, but keep the major ideas in place.
Even though students have to sacrifice their study hall to take big history, there's more demand than available spaces. Something Gerber attributes to the course's focus on curiosity, critical thinking, and fun.
I want them to take away the bigger picture of who they are, their purpose, perspective on life, how to treat others, how to solve problems, and to try to open their minds up that, you know, it's bigger than yourself. It's bigger than the person next to you. It's bigger than all the plants and animals out there. It's huge. It's universal. It's big history.
Make your predictions, go.
There's plenty to love about the Big History Project. It really is for everyone. Teachers, students, and lifelong learners can benefit. We'll put a link on our website so that you can find out more. Now, with those big picture themes still fresh in our mind, let's watch what happens when parents become an essential part of the Trenton Science Fair.
What happens to the marine life when the oil is spilled into the ocean? I reflect it into the mirror so it can reflect the light up.
This science fair at Franklin Elementary is not your typical school event.
The entire school is involved in the science fair from kindergarten through 5th grade.
Not only do all students participate, but they also judge each other's work.
We have a Kids' Choice Award for 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. And all of our boards are numbered so the kids don't know who's who, and they have to vote on their best.
So what you do is put the peroxide in both of them.
We try to encourage children to think of something that interests them. So it's not directed by the teachers.
Mix it.
And the kids that really find the science fair fascinating and they really want to do it, you can tell.
I did an experiment called hot and cold water. My mom told me with this. My hypothesis is I think the temperature will change because the temperature starts at 0 degrees Fahrenheit, and if you put the thermometer in the cup filled with hot water, the temperature will change. When I do science, I get really creative, and I like doing experiments a lot.
Making it a process where it's student-driven, I think is the best part about it, because it's not me telling you, you have to do this.
Gummy bear zone. My question was, will these gummy bears dissolve? If so, how? Actually, water can make a gummy bear grow. I thought that the water will make the gummy bear dissolve, but it made it grow. This is the water. When I put this in the water for 12 hours, this will happen. It turned bigger, but it lost its shape a little. My favorite part of the science fair is learning more about science.
During the day, all students visit the science fair, and that evening, many parents come to see their child's work.
Can you come sign in?
This is my project on how magnets work. The reason it can stick is because this is made out of iron, and iron is the king of magnetics.
Earth has a magnetic field, and the sun has a 7 times stronger magnetic field.
Too many times we don't know how that things works, and I think this is a good opportunity to learn how things work.
It's a nice way for the parents to connect with school, because it's not necessarily about homework, it's about exploring something that their child is interested in.
My project is oobleck, and when you punch it, it's a solid, and when you put your hand slowly, it's a liquid.
You like your heart.
Wait, let me...
STEM, as far as careers, is one of the hottest career fields right now. You're basically guaranteed a job, a stable career.
3, 2, 1!
My goal is for the children to love science, love to work it, have fun with it, understand that if you have a problem, you can solve it. I like it. Hey, nice job, Elton. We're producing future scientists. That's what we're doing.
It's a water balloon that's supposed to turn into ice.
The purpose of it was just to expose the students to the scientific process, but many of our kids achieve to a higher level with it, and we're always pleasantly surprised.
This is a homemade vacuum.
The parents, I find, they get engaged with it as well. They like the concept.
Me and my dad, we used all these materials, and we tried 4 different motors, and they all didn't work until we found the right one.
You know, I try to do projects with them all the time, but this was a hard one to do.
I think what I get out the most is just watching a child grow. So I'm always encouraging and really wanting to challenge them to go beyond their comfort zone. Was this hard to make?
Not very hard. All you needed was baking soda and water.
How long did it take for you to...
I know that Franklin here, we have a strong little community that surrounds this particular school. It makes it worthwhile, and it's getting bigger every year.
We encourage them, their peers are encouraging them. That child that might have been a little reluctant to do a project is now thinking, oh, well, maybe I can do this. I want every child to walk out of here feeling successful.
When we come back, parents join their children to learn how everyone can achieve more in math. Don't go away.
People want to compare America to all these countries and say we're not doing so well, but if you look at some of the states, especially New Jersey is one of them, we're doing just fine, and I think, you know, phenomenally well compared to any country or any part of the world. So I think a lot of people have that misperception. Maybe it gets kind of averaged out across the country, and they don't see how well we are doing in certain states. I think a big concern of mine in education is that there's a lot of changes. I haven't been in education that long, and I've seen a lot of changes, and I'm just concerned and just concerned that students are being considered in those changes, that students have a voice and that students have a say in it. And I think sometimes, you know, we forget about the students, and even as a teacher we think about what are the parents going to think or what are my administrators going to think. I think just really keeping the focus on the students and allowing them to have a voice in shaping, you know, the policies that we choose going forward.
Remember the days when there was only one way to solve a math problem, and mom or dad were able to help with homework? Well, those days are gone, and parents are frustrated because, well, kids these days are solving math problems all different kinds of ways.
One of the chief struggles from my students' parents is with the new way that math is being taught. They have a hard time helping their children at home.
thinking on it. Do they match?
Just a few weeks ago, my son came home and I was watching him do his homework and I was like, what are you doing? And when I showed him the way I did it, his response is, can I show you how the teacher taught me? And I was like, absolutely. And when he showed me, I was like, oh, okay. And it made complete sense, but it wasn't the way I learned it.
Knowing this disconnect was an ongoing problem, Maria Lassise looked for help to try to solve it.
We have created a Family Math Night series for our kindergarten through 5th grade students.
Family Math Night is a program developed by Math Unity, an organization designed to bridge the gap between schools and parents and provides the materials needed for the event.
One night a month, the parents can come and see the way that their children are approaching the math concepts.
It's really completing the triangle of the team we like to form between parents, kids, and our teachers. And they're all working together to solve problems and play games and have fun.
The math series is called Team Squared.
Together, everyone achieves more in math. And because we really believe in the concept of the homeschool connection.
We're taught different games that we could play with them at home to help with their math skills. It does help because you're using a lot of manipulatives with the kids, and it's things that you can find in your own house. And if it's not the things that they show us here at school, we could replace it with something at home that we have, whether it's pieces of pasta or pennies or, just things that you find around your house, just to help the kids. And at the same time, we're playing games, so they're having fun.
All of the stations that you're going to see tonight are all geometry based.
How many faces do you see there? 6 faces, right? So we got 2 already covered.
One of the things we like about the way our event is structured is our activities are beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So we can incorporate all grade levels, so all 6 grade levels, and it's not overwhelming.
Fold each one down to make a triangle.
We wanted to start doing family math night, or just math in general, with the kids because we know that they struggle, and we really want to bridge the gap between here and home, so that's our main goal.
The teachers at Midland School are achieving that goal with funding from an NJEA HIP grant.
We received a $7,000 grant through the HIP Foundation, and without them, we wouldn't have been able to do this. We wouldn't have been able to purchase any of our materials.
We're doing an area game. First of all, this dice, and depending on what you get, it's the length and the width, and then you have to find the area of it, and then you draw the rectangles on the board.
As a kid, I was petrified of math, and to be able to share my experience with my students and to dispel that idea that math is this big, horrible, terrible thing that I should be fearful of, I'm hoping what these events bring to my students is that it's nothing to be afraid of. You just have to be willing to put in the work and the effort behind it. Everyone is capable of being a mathematician. I believe that every one of my students is a mathematician, just in their own unique way. And so I hope through my struggles as a child, I can convey to my students that it can be overcome. It just takes time, and it takes work and effort.
Like 2 pieces can make a square.
The fact that she's pulling from her childhood experiences to make this even more successful is a terrific strategy.
Right. Have fun, my love. I love being a math teacher now because one of my goals as an educator is to not have my students experience what I experienced. I struggled, and I don't want my students to struggle. I want them to feel empowered, and this is just another way to help them feel empowered because they can actually talk to their parents and say, well, I'm thinking about it this way, and open up that line of communication.
The more the parents are involved, the better the student's going to perform. So to have an event like this where they are able to come out and not just help their kids learn, but also have fun doing it, it's huge.
I am hoping that by the end of tonight, parents will feel empowered to help their children at home. I hope the kids come and have fun and realize that fun and school go hand in hand. And I hope to hear them talking about it tomorrow, and it ignites their desire to continue learning in class.
Good job, Joe.
You're watching Classroom Close-Up.
What you're about to see is a reenactment of something we refer to as the he said, she said scenario.
I couldn't. I'll be right back.
Hey.
So I gotta tell you something.
What?
I saw your best friend with your girl at the party.
For real?
Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
Wait, hold up. Stephanie told me he was at the party with my best friend last night.
Well, y'all were telling me with another girl.
Whoa. I heard my name. I ain't saying nothing.
You telling lies to my girl now?
Nah, bro. Good, bro.
Nah, I don't want to hand clap for you.
Why?
Because Stephanie told me she was at the party with
I was
my
at the
best
party
friend
chilling.
last night.
Hold up. I just told you what Ty George told me.
I don't even know what my name is. I didn't know.
In a he said, she said.
Former Washington Redskins wide receiver Gary Melton Sr. breaks it down for us.
And what we typically see in that is one student said something to another student about another student.
By the way, you should also know that Gary Melton Sr. is the responsible thinking class teacher here at Pennsylvania Avenue School.
We're all about fixing problems.
Sorry, back to our scenario.
And the other student will say, I didn't say that, and then another one come in, yes, you did. And then we have a big tornado going on over he said, she said.
Calm down, guys. What's going on here?
I heard Imani just not.
Okay, wait. Stephanie, you stay right here. You guys know how Dr. Small and Ms. Challenger feel about this drama and this he said, she said. So I'm going to have to write a referral on each one of you guys. Calm down. A referral will be written on each and every one of you. Dr. Small and Ms. Challenger will investigate it, and you guys will hear from them. Understood?
Oh my God.
Goodbye.
After the administration investigates, they'll call me in and say, this is what happened, what should we do? So the process for me is to get the key players into class, and for he said, she said, it really is a fun discussion because we talk about 10 principles of great leaders. You have to change your words to change your mindset. For example, don't come in here and say, I can't make this any better. No, change your words. I can always improve. I'll keep trying. I always say, now, do we use he said and she said in any part of leadership? No. What do you want to happen today? Someone tell me, what do you want to happen?
No one going around telling everybody what everybody said.
I have different programs depending on the infraction that was done. So if you were fighting, I have a program for someone that was fighting. If you were cursing, I have a program for profanity. You name it, I have 16 to 18 different programs that I utilize depending on what you have done. So in your relationships with one another, all right, the he said, she said, what do you say?
I want all of our relationships to go back to normal.
So you want peace, correct? We have to come to a culmination, and then we have to come to an agreement, and then we have to lock arms and, really get in that circle and call out what we're going to do as individuals to make sure that it never happens again.
I'm going to mind my own business.
For Gary Melton, the need to implement this responsible thinking process grew out of what many refer to as the school-to-prison pipeline.
If we want to talk about the beginnings, we would talk about the zero tolerance policies enacted by the Clinton administration. They have since, said that was probably one of the worst things that they could do because it did lead to this school-to-prison pipeline phenomenon. Minorities at a far greater percentage were being suspended or expelled out of school for infractions that you would think would not be necessary for them to be suspended or expelled from school. And so once you're expelled from school, obviously you'll find something to do, and sometimes it's a negative thing that you do and it ends up leading you to prison. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, right? I began to look at discipline codes and how discipline codes fed into the process. And I began to say, okay, what if I can interject something in between these discipline codes which could do something to help fix the problem rather than go straight to the code? And so by following that process, you give everybody an opportunity to work themselves out of a situation they find themselves in. If the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. Tell me what that means.
If you know something isn't right, then don't do it.
I like that. Something that we do preemptive. I get around to the classes and I present this program so that the students understand that there's a level of expectation for them to be students here. Who's ever been talked into something that you really didn't want to do? Administration here has been excellent in allowing this program to flow like it is. Between the administration and teachers and parents, there has to be a collaboration. The program is working because the students are taking ownership of the program also, and that's very important. In fact, a lot of things that I say in class, one of the things I say, if you're fighting, I say animals fight, people talk. And to hear a student one day, students were about to fight, and she said, animals fight, people talk. And that was probably the best day of my life, to hear that student say that. And I said, it's working. It's absolutely working.
Success in using the responsible thinking process has been reported beyond our region as well, from Nebraska and Alaska to Singapore and Australia. There is no magic wand that instantly changes behavior. The process takes time and consistent dedication. Educators are providing that kind of support to help students build respectful relationships, understand the value of teamwork and the support of families, and to appreciate where we've come from and where we're going together. We invite you to explore our website, classroomcloseup.org, where you can watch this episode again and search our video library. We'll be back next week with more inspiring stories from our great public schools. Until then, for Classroom Close-Up New Jersey, I'm Marie Bliston. See you soon.